The Israeli government has announced fighting in Gaza is over for now. The Israeli army struck several targets in Gaza after rockets were fired into southern Israel. The border between Gaza and Israel has been the site of clashes over the last 2 months. Clashes intensified in early May when the United States Embassy was officially moved to Jerusalem. For more on this tonight, we go to Miko Peled. He is an Israeli human rights activist and author of the book, The General's Son. Miko, nice to have you with us tonight. I have to get right to it. The human rights violations seem to be pretty well documented on the part of the Israeli army. If, in fact, they are ordered to shoot 8-year-old Palestinian children, did that happen as you see it? Have these reports been verified, and what do you make of it?
Well, I think we take a look at the victims, and it's pretty obvious that shooting children was taking place. There's no question that was taking place. There's no question that commanders and the politicians knew that this was going to take place. There's no question that they knew children and of course civilians were going to be the targets of the shooting over the last few weeks, because they were the ones protesting and they were the ones approaching the, some people call it a border, but really it's a prison wall that Israel built around Gaza. So of course, shooting children, and this is nothing new. I mean, Israel has been shooting children, detaining children, arresting and torturing Palestinian children for a very long time. And there's no question that it's part of a strategy and it's part of a policy.
This is a comment from UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. She says it's outrageous for the UN Security Council to fail to condemn rocket attacks, and she says that adding that they need protection from Hamas, not from Israel. What's your response to that?
Well, that's complete nonsense. Blaming the victim for being a victim is typical. That's what she's doing. The reality is, of course, that Hamas is not the problem. The problem is, for 7 decades, Israel has kept people in Gaza in a prison. The Gaza Strip is really a prison. It's not an international border. There are no natural boundaries. It was a prison that was created in order to house millions or hundreds of thousands of refugees, which today are 2 million people. They have no access to clean water, no access to medical care, no access to nutrition, and they're being bombed and killed by the Israelis on a regular basis. So, blaming them or blaming Hamas or saying that the fact that they protest or they resist is the problem is, of course, complete nonsense. They are prisoners in a massive prison, and Israel shoots them to kill because that's what they do. They shoot them to kill because otherwise they would probably have to explain why they're keeping 2 million people in jail. This way they shoot them and they blame them for being terrorists.
The Israeli government has announced that the fighting in Gaza is over for now. What does that mean? Is this just going to continue and the United States is going to go along with it?
This is going to continue until the international community stands up. This is going to continue until the international community adopts and the call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions, BDS. There have to be sanctions against Israel. There has to be a boycott of Israeli products, and there has to be divestment. This is the only way. Until the international community stands and demands that Israel stop these human rights violations, this massacre of civilians, it's never going to stop.
Miko Peled, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on RT.
Thank you.